Now we're going to hear from Chris Beach of Unicon on the OpenEQUELLA software and software community. Over to you, Chris.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me and see my slides all right?
Yes, loud and clear. Thanks a lot.
All right, very good. Welcome to the OpenEQUELLA 2020 overview. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video just to save a little bit of bandwidth. All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about what OpenEQUELLA is. It's somewhat new to the Apereo communities, so we'll spend a bit of time on features and kind of what it is. We'll talk about its history, as Ian mentioned, where it came from. We'll talk about its features, right? We'll talk about, what could you expect to get out of OpenEQUELLA if you were to adopt it. We'll talk about its roadmap and community, and then the goal will be to save some time to hear what adopters have to say about it. And then we'll finish out with, if you want to get involved, how you might be able to do that. So OpenEQUELLA, what is it? Well, in a nutshell, it's educational content management for today's world. We find it powerful, flexible, and now it's open source. When you look at content in OpenEQUELLA, content can take the form of files, links, and then metadata, right? And then you can wrap metadata around this content to provide context and to provide permissioning, to provide structure. All of that content and the metadata then gets pushed into Lucene, which is an Apache project that drives the core of Aquella's search functionality. So how do we get that content into OpenEQUELLA? We use these contribution wizards that are dynamic, are configurable, they're customizable. In this case, we have the name and description and tags fields, which are metadata, and then we have our asset files, which is just the actual pieces of content. This is a single page wizard. You can make it multiple pages. You can make pages appear or disappear based on what your metadata is on other pages, and lots of flexibility and customization around how you get content into OpenEQUELLA, how you guide your users to associate metadata to that content. And then content's not much good if you can't use it, and so OpenEQUELLA also has its search functionality. This is the main search page, and you can see there's the primary list way of viewing results, and then you have your gallery. And there's a couple different ways that you can go ahead and find your content in OpenEQUELLA. So if you go back to that slide with the circles with the content and the metadata, this is an example of metadata that is in a demo item, and you can see that it's an XML structure. As you see the LOM tag in there. So you can set up your metadata to mimic a known standard. You can do your own kind of metadata, and there's transformations, so you can make your metadata appear to the outside world like it conforms to a standard, but you can use your own customized logic if you want. And then you take that metadata and you're able to do targeted metadata searches based on what your metadata is. And so here we're looking at an advanced search that you can specify language or keywords or your classifications. You can mix and match them, and then you're able to find your content. OpenEQUELLA aims to play nice with a variety of applications for integration. It wants to be a kind of your single source of content or a hub of content for your institution. So it will it integrates with various authentication methods, right? CAS, Shibboleth, LDAP. It can be kind of like a meta search engine for remote repositories. It can join up with other OpenEQUELLA institutions to pull in search results based on permissions, and then it can also harvest content through standards such as OAI, PMH. In terms of links, right, you can put wrappers around these links and make the user interface more simplified and streamlined for users so such as YouTube or Google Books interfaces. So it's like well, you are searching YouTube, but you never really leave OpenEQUELLA, right? And the user is able to keep that one kind of single experience. And then OpenEQUELLA will integrate with a variety of display platforms, so that we have 4 elements. I'd love to see Sakai come back onto here. There used to be an integration for that. And then there's other presentation ways that you can view your data, such as uPortal. And then if you want to use OpenEQUELLA in a headless fashion, it supports a REST API that is very rich. So you can do lots of different things, and you don't really have to ever see OpenEQUELLA. You can just use it as a backend content management system. So let's talk a little bit about where OpenEQUELLA came from. Back in 2002, an application, the Learning Edge, was developed for the Department of Education in Tasmania by a company called DiTech Solutions. A year later, the DOE released that IP to DiTech, and they started building out the application more. 4 years later, the application was rebranded to Aquella. And development continued. 3 years later, Pearson acquired Aquella and the subsidiary companies that were around the world. Pearson then expanded Aquella for 4 to 5 years, but then Pearson's strategy shifted, and Pearson chose to open source Aquella through Apereo as OpenEQUELLA, which is of course why we're here. And OpenEQUELLA 6.5 became the first open source release. A year after that, OpenEQUELLA graduated from Apereo incubation, and the shift to the modern user experience began with the 6.6 release. And then last year, we saw a continuing work on the modern UX with the EBP, or the Aquella Beautification Project, and then cloud providers, which allows greater extensibility inside the application. So talking about what makes up OpenEQUELLA. First and foremost, it's a digital repository. It does not have to be for education, but that's what it's geared towards. It supports a robust security and permissioning system. It can be very granular, or you can have a kind of an overarching permissions model if you choose. As you saw, that we can do content search. We can also, depending on how you want to set up your content, right? If you do more of a component-based content management system, or a setup inside of OpenEQUELLA, then you can reuse and remix your content into other content items to lower costs and to increase reuse. You can federate external content, so you can bring in content from other sources and be able to search for it and use it inside of OpenEQUELLA. You can run Aquella or OpenEQUELLA in a headless sense, and you can also use the user interface to do all the functionality that you could do through the headless way. There's the way to moderate or to do workflow in OpenEQUELLA to provide quality assurance for your content. You can version your content at the content level. So you take that circle that we showed with the content that has files and links and the metadata, and you version that chunk, but it's a complete version. So it'll be like a snapshot as you move forward. You're able to handle copyright inside of OpenEQUELLA. And this goes along with digital rights management, where there's some standard ways in OpenEQUELLA to do that. But if you want to dig a little deeper, you're able to kind of script out however you need, whatever license you want to put on your content, you're able to expose that to your users. OpenEQUELLA integrates with a variety of things like we saw on that screen or that slide a few ago, where the display integrations with LMSs, portals, your attachment integrations such as YouTube and Google, authentication such as CAS, and some of the things to take out of this feature list is its flexible configuration. There's a lot of things you can do with OpenEQUELLA without having to touch scripting code, right? But if OpenEQUELLA, the standard ways of working with OpenEQUELLA is not going to meet your needs, then you're able to jump into certain parts and be able to customize it, mostly with a JavaScript engine backed by Java objects that you're able to then reach in and work with Aquella logic. So in the last year, the community continued the UX overhaul. It's a very large project, taking the tightly bound front end and back end, turning it into the back end being more of REST APIs, and then the front end being Google Material Design with React. And so the separation is occurring, and it's and we saw that come through that last year. Due to that, we're beginning a richer headless API with the goal of 100% functionality through the REST APIs. We now have a generic LTI integration. This was built for the Blackboard integration, but we made it so any LTI tool has the ability to then connect into OpenEQUELLA to use its content, and then there's some configuration around that. The application now allows for duplicate checking for attachments if you want, and it allows greater usage around taxonomies to guide users in putting in metadata values in a way that is well, I guess it's just to guide them in a more complete manner. Oops. So when we talk about, there's a lot of work that's been done around the user experience. If you've seen a screenshot of OpenEQUELLA, it's likely been looking like this, right? It is brittle, it's non-responsive. It worked, but it was, you can tell that it was an older application. And now with the modern user experience, it flows a lot nicer, it's a lot cleaner, and you can see that, you shrink this screen and the left-hand nav becomes a hamburger menu, and so it's a lot more responsive. So where are we going with OpenEQUELLA? We're continuing on our maintenance track with dependency upgrades and bug fixes. We are looking to continue to modernize the Blackboard integration. I know that's, it's not a, for the OpenEQUELLA community there, because it came from more of a commercial landscape. There's several users or adopters that are using Blackboard, and so we're modernizing that integration. The community is going to be modernizing how you use these selection sessions. So when you're having an LTI connection, you're reaching into OpenEQUELLA to pull out content, we're going to modernize that UX. And then we're going to also modernize the search functionality. As you saw in those screenshots, it's, the search functionality is good, but it's going to get even better. One of the features that are coming out, just not a nicer UI, but the idea of search facets, where you can, in a kind of a more dynamic way, say, I want to target this metadata node, and you will be able to set that up set it for your search settings. So you're able to really personalize and customize how you want to do searching in OpenEQUELLA. And then further enhancements to the Aquella beautification project, which is really just a bridge. As the modern UX is being developed, the amount of the Aquella beautification project, if you will go away to be replaced by the modern UX. In terms of who we are as a community, we've got four main groups. We of course have Apereo, which is the foundation. We have our advisory board, which gives the governance and meets periodically. We have our security group, which will watch for open issues and respond as needed. And then we have our community developer meetings. And I wanted to highlight the community developer meetings. They are held monthly, and anyone's welcome to join. If you have an interest in developing OpenEQUELLA, or you're looking to submit a feature or a bug fix, or you're a full-time developer on it, anyone is welcome to join. They're engaging meetings. We generally fill up the entire hour. So I welcome you to come and kind of check out, see what it's all about. Take the last few minutes that we have to hear what adopters use OpenEQUELLA for. The Tanzania eCampus institution finds that it provides greater efficiency for its contents. It allows reuse, they find that it's more effective and sophisticated in terms of managing the digital rights and copyright. And then I wanted to highlight that they've customized their search results page to present it in 2 columns, which is not a standard way to do it in OpenEQUELLA, but that's the beauty of open source software, and OpenEQUELLA is no exception, where you can go ahead and change it based on your needs. Palm Beach Atlantic University in Florida uses Aquella's customized nature to meet its needs. It uses workflow and it integrates with Canvas. OpenEQUELLA for TAFE Queensland, they use it to manage quality assurance. They use it as a single source of truth, and then they have a variety of collections for different pieces of content. Zovio in the US uses it to house their digital assets. They store learning objects in OpenEQUELLA, and OpenEQUELLA is able to play them. And then they make use of the version control abilities in OpenEQUELLA. And then Hamdan bin Mohammed Smart University uses it to, in part, is to fill a requirement for government regulations, right? So it's not necessarily directly tied to learners, right? But it facilitates a way so they can focus on the learners, and Aquella or OpenEQUELLA can handle tracking the government regulation side. The next set of adopters, there's links here, we'll share the slides. They have chosen to make some of their content open. So you can go and search, and you don't need a login for it, and view the content that they have there. So BYUY, they use, one of their main things is that they have faculty created content that they put into OpenEQUELLA, and they'll be doing a presentation a little later in the week. So I encourage you to come in and look at their use cases. University of Plymouth, again, has an OER collection with a variety of different contents. We have to move a little faster due to time. The Orange Grove also makes open resources. Lots of a variety of different content is inside of the Orange Grove. California College of the Arts also supports an OpenEQUELLA install. One of the interesting things about the Vault for CCA is that they have students submit their coursework and their senior projects and whatnot, and so you have faculty and students adding into the Vault. So if any of this is, kind of piques your interest, we encourage you to get involved. We have the standard Apereo website, our GitHub issue tracker, and our Google groups. The community artifacts site, if you did something cool with OpenEQUELLA, you want to see what other people are doing, encourage you to go out there. It's all public domain stuff, so you're free to use it. And then if you are interested in working with OpenEQUELLA in terms of a developer role, I encourage you to come to our monthly community developer meetings. I appreciate your attendance and viewing this. If there are any questions, I think we have just like a minute left.
Thanks so much, Chris. That was really comprehensive and perfectly timed. We're coming up on a 10-minute break. Feel free to stretch your legs, walk about, and come back in time for Josh Wilson to introduce Zerti and Sugi. Thanks a lot. See you soon.